that's kind of what we do, isn't it? I guess if we can bring back extinct animals, why not bring back extinct parks? Gotta get this one back. Inbound.